We are back. It has been, I want to say 3 weeks since the last podcast. We're episode 30.
No, I think, yeah, maybe.
Episode 30. Tables don't do that. We're back. Anyone watching, if you've got a comment in the chat, I have Jax watching the chat for a change.
I am. I'm doing work.
Jax is on chat duty today because we keep noticing that sometimes people miss the chat. I missed the chat if someone actually is in and asked a question. And I will say, so the game in the background today is called Attack of the Earthlings.
There's some familiar looking faces within that legally distinct artwork.
Legally distinct artwork. Oh, I know. But yeah, it is, as always, the game's background doesn't matter in this case. But yeah, we have, probably a lot to talk about because it's been like 2 weeks. I've watched Thunderbolts finally. Loved it. Absolutely enjoyed the movie. I will say I don't agree with like the review saying, oh, it's the best Marvel's movie since Endgame. It's almost as good. I'm like, no, but I genuinely enjoyed the movie. Like a lot of the things that happened in that film, I was really happy about it. Also, Yelena is my favourite character. Like legitimately my favourite character.
I will say yeah, people are trying to compare this to Endgame for some reason, which I always find odd. People compare movies to the final story in a nearly 20-year run.
Yeah.
And go, it's not as good as that. I'll tell you what it is as good as, and maybe even better than, that's the Avengers film.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it a lot.
I'll say I enjoy it just as much as I enjoy the first Avengers film. And that's kind of what it should be.
Oh yeah,
because that's kind of what you're getting. You know, it's an updated version of that team. It is a budget version of that team, and that is the joke.
Hey! We're the Avengers with a Z.
Yeah.
For God's sake, I love him. I'm sorry, but there's nothing that makes me hate David Harbour. David Harbour is brilliant. I love him as Red Guardian. He's just freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
He's just...
And the introduction of how they're using Sentry and Void.
Yeah. Pretty
good.
I also love that the entire film was literally a thing about just mental health. It is a mental health. Yeah. It is a movie where about characters for mental health, and it's beautiful. It's really well done. And
what is great is that this is a character that really does the TV the movie TV geek away from the comic book geek here, because you saw a massive confusion from the comic book movie bros about who this character was, and was really screaming. I mean, are you sure they weren't screaming, but there was a bit of bash about what happens to this character in the film. I ain't saying nothing. But if you're a comic book fan, you've read the big comic book stories, the World War Hulk stuff, in which you have a guy going, you've got all the big heroes begging this dude to get out of his house and fight the Hulk, and him going, no, it's a scary world out there.
Yeah.
Yes, you're indestructible.
Yeah, no. He is. Yeah.
Bad things happen if you go outside. So yeah, he's a wonderful character. Yeah.
Sentry is legitimately is. See, people going, oh look, is it Icarus? I forget, Icarus from Eternals going, yeah, that's Marvel Superman. When they saw that movie, I'm like, no, this is Marvel Superman. This guy. Because
you've got maybe one or two others that can go into that comparison. Every sort.
Though I will always laugh at the Gladiator, whose power is proportional to his confidence.
Confidence. There you go. Yeah. Just most annoying power set for anyone.
Especially because of how times people have made him doubt himself, and he suddenly becomes weak as hell. It's like, he's beat up by someone.
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, and then some people can't, and you'd think you could, because at this point in time, it should be so easy. He should be rocking up to a battle, and if he just sees anyone from the X-Men or anyone from the Avengers, he's like, these people basically see me piss my pants on many occasions. He should have no confidence in himself at that point.
No, he shouldn't.
He is technically useless. After about 10 years, technically useless. Absolutely fantastic. It's like, it would almost be less useful or more useful for him to have the ability to control milk. It is
honestly
wrong.
ridiculous. It's one of those funny things, though. It's like, I am the Guardian. Yes, you are super powerful, except if I go into if I say this, like, these 2 or 3 things. I've seen that Pixels in the chat. You can ask any question you want. Jax will tell me if there's a question, hopefully. But
yeah,
it's just one of those things that makes me absolutely laugh about Guardian. Like, have you heard that apparently we're going to get a series or a movie of them as well? And I'm like, please do.
Oh, I hope so.
So do I. I'm like,
I mean, to be honest, I am hoping that we do get some new TV shows coming out with the new universes that we're going to get. To be honest, after Doomsday, I think the TV shows are a great way of expanding the universe, without the need of big streaming
names.
budgets, and you can do a lot more.
We know that but we know that Vision Quest is the last series that Kevin said, the last series that is going to be linked to the films. Like, you're gonna have to watch it to know what's going to happen in a film, which makes sense. I get why they're doing that change, because they're probably still going to have these characters pop up in the films and stuff, but I think what it is this is the last series they're going to do that's going to be linked to the actual storylines of the films themselves.
The universe should be the linking factor, not overarching stories.
Yeah.
They should be able to fit into those stories because they're in the same universe, not because we necessarily need to see their story within the overarching big thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We can see a great Spider-Man film, and we can go through New York. We can watch a Daredevil TV series going through New York. We show a similar show at one point. They go to the same shop. They don't necessarily have to be in the same scene together. It's the shop they go to.
Yeah.
But then when they do an Avengers film and all of them turn up because it's in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get it. We didn't need to, in each one of those different projects, go, oh, we're now fighting an alien from somewhere and a blue light and we've got a box. Oh, it's not necessary.
Yeah, we don't need the alien part. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, sorry, we're getting very we're getting questions. Sorry, I thought you was making a Blockbusters reference, the 1990s TV show, in which you very much had to ask someone called Bob or a letter, and it was always very funny to ask Bob for a pee.
Oh crap! I lost a little dude. No, my little dude.
As for Sigma, I don't really aspires to be any of the Greek alphabet, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pi. I do like Pi.
And step. Oh yeah, but like Thunderbolts, brilliant. Loved it. Absolutely. I love the entirety of that film. I will say David Harbour just stole it, and also made me like John Walker. Like, I hate US Agent. Even in the comics, I dislike the character, actively made me actually like. I will say part of it's due to the actor that played him, probably, but honestly, John Walker in that film was pretty damn good. They actually did a really great thing though in making him, having him go from being this. Like, let's be honest, what he was in Captain America, in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, as that's what I'm going to call it in the show. He was a dick, and he's like he was Captain America for all 5 minutes, and then he killed someone while carrying the shield. And that's the thing.
He doesn't have a redemption arc, but one of the things is that it's something we're losing a lot of, in my opinion, in the way that they make these movie films. I think we're actually going to get in the James Gunn one. Is they're removing assholes from the arsehole canon of characters. These people are just meant to be jerks.
Oh no, the entire movie, he's still a fucking jerk through that entire film if you pay attention.
Like, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Yeah, but he's like, say, I'm just happy we're getting what looks like to be a proper Carl Gardner. Who's going to be just a complete arsehole. But yeah, he's. I like him. Don't get me wrong. I like the whole team. I actually do like how it all got set up.
It was brilliant.
I'm not complaining too much at all. He did lose the complete jerk nature.
He did.
He still's like, to an extent, he should still feel like, oh, I was right.
Oh yeah, I love him. It's the fact that he's still a dick. Like, there is no redeeming about the fact that he's a grade A dick, but I like the little bit of humanization and the fact that it's the PTSD of him coming back. I think the thing it emanated with a lot from what I'm hearing is a lot of veterans in the fact that he is he is literally a veteran that was suffering PTSD, and it's straight up the thing that happened is him. It's no one caring for him at all.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was very good.
Oh yeah, but I will still say, I'm going to admit, I'm kind of pissed at what they did to Taskmaster though. That does kind of piss me off. Not the character not the way they've introduced Taskmaster into the MCU. I mean what happened at the start of the film, like because they were in all the marketing, and then that just happens within 5 minutes of the film, and I'm like, oh, what kind of disappointing.
Fair, that was very much predicted by a lot of people, though.
Oh, it was.
Funny enough.
I have a feeling, by the way, if we see a Taskmaster again, we are going to see Tony Masters, though.
I hope so. Very, very good character.
Though people are speculating she's in Doomsday because she posted a picture of herself. She posted a picture of herself, like just working and she's in where they're filming Doomsday right now, in the same town, the same country and everything. But I'm like, no, they killed her off, and I'm like, it's kind of annoying. I actually enjoyed the different way of doing Taskmaster because everyone keeps forgetting. Like, even Iman Veli said it is the MCU is not 616. Stop expecting everything to be like 616.
Yeah, completely. Completely.
It's like because I'm sorry, but the people that go, oh, it's not like the comics, and I'm sat there going, yeah, if it was like the comics, Tony Stark wouldn't have been the person that made Ultron.
Now, if anything, due to one key character, everything you're seeing isn't a variation on the core Marvel canon. It's a variation on the Ultimate Universe, the original Ultimate Universe.
Yes, less dark than the original Ultimate Universe. Let's be honest, we both know that.
The reason we can clearly say that. People go, no, actually, you're talking about the Fantastic Four film that came out, which was based on the Ultimate Universe. Well, actually, no. They tried. That's not part of it.
They tried and that
you
failed.
Can clearly say, that the Marvel universe that we see on screen is a variation of the Ultimate Universe is because of Samuel Jackson,
Yep.
in which the Ultimate Samuel Jackson was actually based on Samuel Jackson, the Ultimate Nick Fury.
No, but Samuel Jackson.
Samuel Jackson already. And thus later on, when the film came out, they were like, you know who we could get, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's also, he is now, Nick Fury in the 616 is the same as black, but there's a reason he's black is not because he's suddenly they suddenly decided to race swap him. It's because 616 Nick Fury that we have that's black now is Nick Fury's son, whose name is, who they just happen to decide to, make. They just happen to copy the same design from the Ultimate Universe because they destroyed the original Ultimate Universe because it wasn't too popular due to some of the shenanigans that happened in it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was weird. Let's just be happy that we got the variation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what was one of the 616? What was one of the things that happened in it? It was, oh, yeah. We got the whole, what is it, the blob eating people and...
Yep.
Oh, God, the only good thing that came out of that universe, in my honest opinion, and I think you'll agree with me on it, one of the few good things that came out of that universe was a certain character that is now very popular.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple actually from the Ultimate Overs, but Miles Morales was very much the icon of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Am I wrong? I thought Kamala Khan was also originally in the
Nope.
No, she wasn't. She came later.
No, she was originally an Inhuman, and now she's a mutant. And people go, why are they swapping a bunch of mutants? Because I think they're doing it more than just her for Inhumans. And I'm like, people go, why? Because Marvel now has the X-Men back, and the only reason the Inhumans basically kind of became the mainline thing they were doing is because they didn't own the X-Men, and they needed a new way to give people powers again, and didn't want to promote Fox.
Every new mutant they created for the X-Men comic books straight away became a property of Fox so they didn't want to create any more mutants. Yeah,
that's also I feel like what might have partially motivated a certain event that happened. M Day.
You are completely right.
So that way we don't have to make any new mutants. We could just have the existing IPs we have. And the reason we're getting mutants back again and more mutants is because, oh yeah, here's this lovely thing called we now own the property again. We can do shit with them again without Fox suddenly owning the mutants.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you're now going to start seeing a lot of big changes actually in what is and isn't allowed in the film.
Yeah, I for one am happy to see the X-Men show up finally, but seriously, I think we both know Doomsday. Your actor is seeing Alan Cummings back,
and
mine is seeing Scott Marsden back, and the hints that the costumes we're getting are the 97 costumes, meaning that we're getting Cyclops in his blue outfit and his actual comic outfit rather than, the tactical gear.
That's it. I mean, that was quite interesting. I mean, this was a while ago now at convention when it was asked, what costumes are they going to be wearing? And the reply was, well, we've already seen the official costumes in the show. Okay, but the only show that's on is X-Men 97. Oh shit!
It's like
and then you get Wolverine and Deadpool showing off. I mean, obviously that came before, but Wolverine and Deadpool giving off proper Wolverine costumes. And we see them proper. Yeah, it's everything's pointing in the right direction, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. It's like Kevin finally got through to the executives. Give them the comic costumes. People don't people don't really want the realism. We want the comic costumes.
He has been fighting for it for so long.
It's like the amount of people that give him The amount of people that give him a bad rep and go, "Oh, he's the reason that all the bad decisions." I'm like, dude, the guy is the guy that fights for all of the stuff we actually want. He's the guy that, as we've talked about in this podcast before, all of those old films, when we got the scenes that were like straight out of comics, as you've said on this podcast before, Jax, he's the guy that was in the background telling them to do it that way.
Yeah, even against the people in charge's rules and regulations. There are so many stories independently of Feige saying how, like, especially during the some of the Bryan Singer runs where it was no comic books allowed on set.
Mm-hmm.
Sneaking them comic books is like, you need to read this.
Oh, yeah. I do feel the one of my favourite sagas is never going to see that is not going to be another Marvel film. That saga being the Phoenix Saga is not going to get done a third time. I don't think Marvel's going to touch it. It's been done badly twice.
I think we are. Well, here's the thing. If what we're kind of being sort of suggested is true, that X-Men 97 and the live action X-Men we're going to get are the same thing, then we've already passed the Phoenix Saga within that very timeline. Well within that time frame, which makes a sense. Full reset with the new X-Men, which I don't think they're going to do for many reasons, mostly because it actually kind of takes a long time to get to. If they're doing it a proper reset, it's going to take a long time to get to the big characters that people like. Because, to be fair, Beast, that is just a guy with big feet.
One rumor that makes me laugh, that I would absolutely love if they did it, is that Oscar Isaac is going to be in the movie at least twice.
I hope so. I hope.
You know what that rumor is, as him as both Apocalypse and as Moon Knight. And I'm like, if you do this, I will. And you do this, and you have him when he shows up as Apocalypse, looking like Apocalypse from, the animated show instead. I would love Disney, because it'd be such a redeeming thing for him being played, because the funny thing is a lot of the mannerisms he had when playing the character were okay. It was just the appearance was so shit.
Now,
that's what.
Here's the thing. I will say the same thing at this film as I said about Wolverine and Deadpool, and I kept my word.
Which is,
if we get Gambit, not kind of the same thing. With Wolverine and Deadpool, I said if we get Gambit, I'll see that film multiple times. I did see that film paid for multiple times.
Yeah.
If we get Oscar Isaacs as Moon Knight and
as
Apocalypse, I'll say that movie at least once a week for a month. I'll happily do it.
I would happily go and watch it multiple times just to see, because it's Apocalypse is as we both know from talking about X-Men a lot. My favorite Marvel X-Men villain is Apocalypse. Apocalypse is my favorite villain, and even it's ingrained in my head from a young kid. That line, the line from one of the episodes, I think season 3 when he's the main bad guy with the plague. When we first meet Bishop and Cable, like we first get Cable back as a time traveler. Yeah. Finally revealed being a time traveler. That line of when when Creed gets infected with the virus, and gets Matt, and it's like, give me the cure, and he's like. And then he, reveals that the guy that's helping reveals to be Apocalypse. Like, you're a mutant. I am as far beyond mutants as they are beyond you. It's like, yep, that's Apocalypse, and we're fucked. I also love that in that storyline, it's such a smart way of using. I will say, even though normally, because in the X-Men cartoon, the best bit I like about the X-Men cartoon was that every character got their chance to shine.
They did it nicely because it was a big ensemble cast, and something you really can only do in an animated sense, because weirdly, real world, if you've got all those actors playing those roles, you kind of have to justify it by getting them on screen.
Yeah,
cost money.
Whereas with
in animation, you don't have to.
No, in animation you can get away with it, but like in this show, I like someone was saying, oh, they really hate Wolverine in this show because like in the 97, the next 97, Wolverine was like a background character for a lot of time. He wasn't like a main character, but it's because I think we've talked about this before. We both basically went, the reason they probably did that is because he's been a main character in like every live action film that's been released for X-Men, like for the last 20 years. So we're going to showcase how powerful all these other characters are.
Yeah. What is So weird enough, Wolverine was kind of the big thing that saved Marvel and the X-Men. It was one of those things. It was slumping.
Oh yeah, he was. He was one of those big things that saved it, but it's one of those things.
But once he came in, he was huge. He was a fan favorite. So they started. You had to put him in everything.
Mm-hmm.
He was a character that is violent. And so, actually, when it comes to the cartoons, he was always in the forefront, as in he was always there.
Yeah.
But when you actually look, a lot of what he's doing is just cutting open fences and punching people, while all the other X-Men are using their powers and throwing people off of cliffs and freezing them and electrocuting them. And all he's actually doing is punching them, unless it's a robot. If you really
I will say that I think we both agree the scene with him and Nightcrawler in the last 2 episodes, just like when they finally got to let him go to town, and you just like, we were just suspecting, oh yeah, he's just going to use his fists. Nope, they let him use his claws, and him just chopping people into bits and everything. And I'm like, yep, we finally got him. He finally got to be himself. He finally got to have the whole
rarity. The actual show, this show was built different. The new show was built different. But it's quite funny how, if you actually look through most of Wolverine's outside of the comic book visuals, he ends up just being kind of a defunct character. His job is to just not die. That's it. Or basically be a dog. So I'll sniff that out.
Oh yeah,
it's quite funny when you watch. It did him dirty, but you had to get him because he brought in the big bucks.
Oh yeah, but like it's one of those things about that show. They couldn't do him the way in the original. We couldn't have him be as violent as he was in the new one.
Yeah.
But now they were able to go, let him go to town, because they know that, because 97 wasn't designed for. To be honest, you can see from the way it was it wasn't designed for new people to come in and watch it as much. It was designed to bring in new people because it's an animated show, but it was very much designed, in my opinion, that they knew that a lot of people are going to watch this.
Already watched that show as a kid.
Yeah, they knew at that point that most of our people that are watching this are people that watched the original. They're grown up. A lot of them are in their 30s or their like late 20s and stuff. These are the people that watch the show as kids. They want to see this show. They want to see, and I will say, I think we both agree. First episode, the bit where they have to get the plane gets shot down, they all land, and that's watching them work together as a team to stop them all being killed. And then when they land, and it's just Scott going, "Bring the thunder." And as you watch, and it's like, we finally get Storm that is like getting to show off how powerful Storm actually fucking is. Because
all of it was a work of art. All of it was a work of art.
That whole scene of Storm just like, taking everyone, like, just basically wiping every single lightning strike, turning the sand to glass. It's just like, bring the thunder.
Beast of a character.
Oh yeah.
And this is kind of the stuff we've wanted to see for a long time with that character.
And also and Jean being it, and you can tell that. Remember, we should be able to know it was Jean, as the joke goes. We should be able to know it was Jean. It wasn't Jean in the first few episodes because she didn't faint.
Very true. So many of us missed an obvious.
I love the fact that the minute that happened, everyone made the joke immediately, because the real Jean, when she uses the powers, you don't remember in the fight versus the first Omega Sentinel, the first one.
Yeah, it's a clear, like I said, clear giveaway. Clear
She just faints. It's like, yep, it's Jean. Why? Because she fainted. It's like, I love the fact that became a running joke though among the group. Like, how do we know Jean's used the powers? Usually because she faints immediately afterwards.
Very much a meme and a trope. I'm
But yeah,
very well. And I can't wait. Like I say, we can't wait to see what they end up doing with these next couple of films.
oh yeah,
I mean, for me, Fantastic Four is the real biggie
oh yeah.
at the moment.
I did also sort of thing about Thunderbolts that I noticed. Thunderbolts is set at the exact same time as Captain America: Brave New World. If you pay attention,
Okay.
because both things are happening simultaneously.
Which is
Because
probably why other heroes aren't getting involved.
yeah, it's because Brave New World's set in Washington.
Phone call. I bet it's the phone call between Bucky and that links it, right?
No, it's the bit at the end when Bucky's on about he tries to talk to Cap. That bit where he tries to talk to Cap, right? If you pay attention to Brave New World, that's the bit where Bucky's in this. Is Bucky's there when Cap's when Joaquin's been crashed? That's Bucky. Those two scenes are at the same time. Bucky's just come back from trying to speak to Falcon. At that point, it's essentially both happening at the same time. Also, I do love Elena's sort of thing of when Valerie goes, "The new Avengers," and she's like, "You realize this means we own you now, right?" Just like Elena's. I love Elena. Elena's become my favorite character from that film. Like, Florence Pugh is brilliant. She's just fucking hilarious.
She does. She's very, very good. I mean, everything she does. We were watching a couple of films not so long ago with her in completely different roles, but just done perfectly. I'd say my big thing though is Fantastic Four. I am a fan of the Fantastic Four. It was the first comic books I actually bought, and the first family of that, because that's exactly what they were. There are a lot of firsts there. Actually, it's one of the things that made Marvel. Stan and Jacket.
Oh, that's just because the stream doesn't seem to update whoever subbed last, because someone subbed after Jax. Because Jax subbed a year ago, and there's been like 3 people that have subbed since you subbed Jax, but for some reason it doesn't update the latest subscriber. I haven't figured out how to fix that part.
I am the best. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, so Fantastic Four coming back is a big deal, and I know a lot of people. Well, I say it once again. I know a lot of people. I've seen a lot of things online with people not happy about certain things. I
like it because it looks like the Golden Age Fantastic Four comics. Like, and also, I am actually in full agreement with what Kevin's one of the things that Kevin said in like an interview recently. Our big thing is we don't want to redo origin stories. For anyone who's had an origin story, we don't want to redo movies that has already happened. And I'm like, I'm in agreement with that.
You don't need that stuff. Especially his thing, because now a lot of it is owned by Disney. It's on the Disney Channel, and so what you now get as a movie viewer, what we get as comic book readers, you get a chance to see a number of variations on a origin story. Means new creators don't need to focus on an origin story because you've got a number to choose from there, and they will give hints to things within their movies anyway, just to keep you updated on the important changes, if any.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So, kind of like with Superman, if you're getting leaps tall buildings with a single bound, you're not getting a flying Superman. If he's, faster than a speeding bullet, he's
golden.
How fast he is.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got these. So that's what you get. You just have to.
Though I have loved, as we've talked about before, we talked about the Daredevil show. I have loved that. What's it called? That when We've now had 3 hints in the MCU of a certain other Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
We have had Officer Miles. We've had his Uncle Aaron ringing him in the, is it No Way Home? Not No Way Home, in the first one, in Far From Home, in the first one. And we've had, like, you know, like the fact that we've had him show up multiple, like, and then we've had another hint in the second one. Like, the fact we've had 3 hints of Miles Morales existing in this universe makes me happy, because it is clearly Marvel's like, we want Miles Morales, and Sony just now needs to get off the Todd and actually give us him back at this point. It's kind of the thing that needs to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be the next couple of years on that front is going to be very interesting, especially coming into a new generation of things, because technically now, after you do a reboot of some description, I do believe that shared agreement does kind of end. So it'll be interesting to see how Disney and Sony play their game here. But it makes sense. I mean, if they're not going to outright sell, it makes sense to play ball with each other. They make so much more money.
Wasn't it the last time? Wasn't it Tom Holland that was the one that got them to play ball?
Yeah, heavy rumors around it, and it seems accurate. Yeah, kind of. Tom Holland went into a meeting he probably shouldn't have. I was like, are we being serious here? Do you know how much money we're making by just saying yes to each other?
I know.
Like a lot more.
It is really odd that Sony doesn't seem to want to make the money here, and I'm like, guys, you realize how much money you'll make? Just say yes. Literally, you'll make so much money if you say yes. It's kind of easy to. It's just easy to say.
And
yes.
he was right. He's right. He's very astute. From a few plus sources, he's a very astute person. I keep wanting to say kid, but he's a full-blown adult.
He just looks like a kid because he's lucky.
No, he's just so much younger than me.
I know. It made me feel old.
And so weirdly, and a weird connection is the person who rented the room that I rented for a long time was the guy who designed the Billy Elliot stage musical logo. All that stuff was done by Neil Huxley, who did all. He has a very big, extensive career. So yeah, I remember seeing a lot of the early promo stuff for that. Him in it, a kid, and that's weirdly what I so. Oh, that's that kid, and he's like a full-blown adult.
Yeah, it's
like a full-blown adult.
It's so weird. It's so weird when you like
in Hollywood.
So weird though. It's like, oh yeah, he's a kid. No, he's not a kid. It's just that he's so much younger than us that we think he's a kid, and I'm like, oh my god.
Also, he's playing Spider-Man, who in my head is 16 until he's not 16 and he's an adult, and he's married.
Yeah. The real question. So we have, let's be honest, No Way Home, we can both probably agree on this, was essentially the most controversial comic in Spider-Man history, like done in a movie.
Yeah, I mean,
just in a different way. Like it was straight up One More Day. Just
really was without the aspect of a demon getting involved.
Though you had multiple more hints at Mephisto showing up, and I'm just like, really want to show up already.
What's really confusing is that they've paid an actor it already, and we then got nothing. And I get it. I think the place where they was meant to turn up was in for some reason, out of all the things, was the Ironheart TV show, which
I
don't get.
It took me a while to realize who the actual villain is in the Ironheart TV show, and I realized, oh, that's the Hood. I was like, it's the Hood.
So now we've got the Hood, but originally it was meant to, from what I understand, originally it was Mephisto. And basically it was going to be the idea of magic versus technology, which is what they really wanted to do with the Mandarin. But of course, they had to nix that idea because people started going, shit, that's racist. And then never really did that character versus Iron Man in any real sense, which is fortunate because
he's mainly an Iron Man villain. I do like that. At least we got the Mandarin came back and we had that little bit of a redemption for the for that character, and with the fact that we got
Trevor Slattery.
No, as in the proper Mandarin when he actually shows up in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, and makes a comment about being an orange. It's very funny. But yeah, I get it. I just really would love to have seen that as that big mystic power that comes in and has to fight the robots. And I get what, and do you know what? I do understand where they would make those two comparisons there. Then we had WandaVision, and we had Agatha all along, and we're getting, in my opinion, two great or three great appearances from Doctor Strange, and in all those places where Mephisto would have been perfect to pop up, nothing.
Oh yeah, I full well agree. I fully agree on that one.
I think it would have been better if Mephisto had turned up to Doctor Strange at the end of Multiverse of Madness.
What, instead of Clea?
Instead of Clea, I'd be like, do you want to make a deal to get rid of that?
Just Doctor Strange will return.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, but then we have the other show that we have watched. See, you know who I want to reappear, and I really would love them to reappear from this film. It wasn't that well loved, I will agree. I would love Anna Taylor-Joy and some of the actors from New Mutants to show back up, because I genuinely like that film. Unpopular opinion, I know, but I actually liked New Mutants.
New Mutants was
a film that unfortunately was in development hell. That's what happened to it.
In development hell. This film suffered the same, very similar issues to the Fantastic Four film I mentioned earlier. One key difference,
which is
it actually kind of made a watchable film out of the mess they had left behind.
Oh yeah, I genuinely enjoyed it. We got, in my opinion, a very accurate representation of magic when she finally uses her powers.
Yeah, finally, yeah.
I also love the idea that it was like they're all there, and it's like it was very much a hint towards the Essex Foundation was very much a hint towards Nathaniel Essex, aka Mr. Strange, Mr. Sinister.
They clearly they missed so many marks there, and I assume that was a lot of cutting room floor stuff to try and get that film out.
Oh yeah. It wasn't amazing, like it wasn't groundbreaking, but I enjoyed it. It was watchable, and genuinely, I enjoyed it.
Was a great character. I did like Wolfsbane. I kind of wish it wasn't Macy Williams playing that character, because I just don't think she got it, but I still kind of like the character.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed everything.
Cannonball. I love Cannonball.
I did find it funny that I realised that
so close.
I did find it funny that Sunspot was in there as well. Yeah. It's just like, hi Robbie, it's like, because I was like, the minute when we got him in '97, I went, fuck's sake, this is two things he's been in now recently. God damn it, Sunspot, stop showing up. But I do actually genuinely in the comics love him because he's fucking hilarious. Like I was reading the New Mutants actual, like the comic, one of the later ones, the Cohen era one, and it's him saying this is how everything happened, and then halfway through the comic you've got everyone else going, no Robbie, this is not what happened. Shut up, stop telling people the story.
Yeah,
it's like I love it because he's so funny. He's just like he is legitimately exactly like that, and he's like, yep, this is Robbie Reyes.
Yeah, but there's a reason I like Cannonball. and I really wish that Sam had got a bit more of a bigger role and just done a little bit better. Because we're never going to get this story in anything other than the comic books, and probably good reason for it. During the events of the Demon in the Bottle storylines, where Tony is just pounding the booze and riding at his left, right, and centre, doing some dodgy shit, he takes out a plane full of people. And the way is explained away by S.H.I.E.L.D. of all people is that a mutant did it. What mutant? Sam, the cannonball. And he's the one who actually basically forced to take the blame for that one. And people thought he was the killer. Even though he said outright it weren't him. And so, yeah, it's a storyline we're never going to get. He does sort of get some of his just desserts towards the end, but not quite.
Demon in a Bottle is when Tony has the relapse, isn't it? It's because he relapses and has a full blown.
Yeah, Demon in the Bottle is one where he gets really fucked up, and ultimately he's having a bad time. A business rival is fucking him over, and he's losing. So he decides to take the suit out, not as his bodyguard, but as Tony, and just beats the guy to pieces. In the suit is like, if you don't give up the contract, basically, Tony. Then leaves. It's a dark story. Weirdly enough, I saw a really nice copy of that in Indiana for $75, which for its condition was very good money. I just couldn't get it.
Sounds about right.
If I had I bought myself one very, very small, very cheap thing, because if I spent any more money than that in there, I would have spent every penny I owned plus whatever loan I could get.
Is this the same store that happened to have the Power Rangers shit in it?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of figured it would be.
That store had everything you would ever want as a collector. When I say they had full-size action figures, I don't mean they had them at 6-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch. I'm saying they had posable action figures in there at 6 foot. Yeah, they were. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking before I cry.
Before you cry, the fact that you couldn't buy certain Power Ranger thing they had there.
I'm not. There's many reasons why I'm not saying exactly where this place was. But they did have signed Green Ranger and Green Ranger dagger and helmet, legacy versions, white saber sword and helmet legacy versions there for a very good price, both signed. With pictures of them being signed, and once again they were incredibly good prices for what they were. And when I have money, not mine.
Oh, I will say. Well, so we talk about the other thing that we wanted to.
We should talk about the thing we've actually named the show after, I guess.
I would agree, and I would say I have been loving the last 3 episodes so a lot. I've been loving this entire season a lot, to be honest, of Doctor Who. Last season, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong.
Best season for a very long time, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Everything. I think so. I mean, weirdly enough, the worst episode out of the lot, and that's like saying the worst of these chocolate chip biscuits was the one in the middle. It's
the one that only had 2 chips instead of 1.
Yeah. It was the Lux episode. It's the one that, weirdly enough, I felt like they just gave up a bit midway through.
To be fair, we have discussed that one on the show as well. Yeah,
yeah.
We have different opinions on that one. I enjoyed it. We also have different theories about why the bad guy thingied, because it's the thing that in regards to it's but I'm a firm believer of I think you are as well, that they don't need to explain absolutely everything in a show, like every single reason why something's happening.
Weirdly enough, though, because of the reveal at the end of this recent episode, and a theory I've held for years over the last actual TV appearance of that character, and what happens at the end of Lux, all weirdly link into being technically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, in more recent thinkings, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so last episode.
He would know that shit.
Let's first address the episode that I think neither of us expected to be as good as it was. Because I don't know if you agree with me on this one. I did not expect the Interstellar Song Contest episode to be anywhere near as good as it was.
Oh, okay, we're starting there, because I thought maybe we wanted to start that story in the engine, but no, yes. I mean, same thing. I didn't expect that to. I thought that was going to be cheesy tie-in to the Eurovision Song Contest, because he was doing the announcing as well. She was going to do some announcing and stuff like that. So I thought it was just going to be this weird, cheesy tie-in, and we were going to get the British Eurovision entry singing on there, and yeah.
Yeah,
and that's not what we got.
No, it isn't. We got
I mean, it was very fake. I mean,
it was so, that the scene.
It was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
Tragic all at the same time.
It was hilarious. It's like starts off hilarious, and then you get the bit where where Kid and takes over. And I was actually genuinely, when that scene happened, the air bubble being like taken down.
Yeah.
When that scene happened, I was genuinely just like shocked for a second. I was like, I did not expect them to go there and do something that a scene that looks that horrifying. Like, holy crap. That was like, it was.
Even then you're thinking, well, like, the TARDIS has gone, that's fine. Oh, the Doctor's flown out, but he's going to get to the TARDIS, and that's how that bit's going to get fixed. Everything's fixed then. And Belinda's now safe, so that's fine. Everything now is, you can see how this is all being repaired.
Yeah.
And that's not how it gets repaired.
No, it's not how it is. And I'm sorry, I will admit, that damn song is stuck in my fucking head.
The winner of the contest, Whoopie Whoopie Hoop Hoop, or whatever it's called.
No, the winner of the contest is Duggadoo. Duggadoo, Duggadoo, Duggadoo. Sorry, but
I know they released it in the fall, didn't they? And I just refused to.
It's so good. It's so. But it is the contrast of that scene where this cheery, repetitive song just comes on. Like you get every one of them at Eurovision every year. Meanwhile, you're just watching Belinda at that point have a full-blown panic attack and mental breakdown, and it's such a well-done scene because like everything, because like the show's rerun is going on at like dress rehearsals going on as normal, and then it's just straight up. You just got this Duggadoo bit going on in the background, and it's like, oh my! You just like watching it, and it's like that song is funny as hell, but. It's like when she's having the breakdown, she's talking to the singer.
It's a very interesting counterpoint, yeah. And it kind of half takes away from what is going on.
Yeah, and it's like, and then when she's talking to the singer, and like the singer's like having a chat, and then she's trying to, and the singer's trying to, like, you're seeing the singer just try to talk to her, calm her down, and help her out, and she's just like, I can completely empathize with her at that point of just why she's so like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then that bit with the bit that we both enjoyed a lot, where
here's the thing. For this bit here that you're about to mention, and I won't say much until I'll let you go into it, but if it's the bit where I'm thinking you're about to mention, I was watching this episode with just my older stepkid was sitting there listening or watching it with us, and they're not a Doctor Who fan. They've seen a couple of episodes. They saw the end, I believe, of the story of the engine. Yeah. When this scene happened, and I went from, this is just an episode, to, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Wait a minute. And then stopping it, rewinding it back a bit, just to
watch that.
Make sure I wasn't.
You weren't going.
No, just to make sure I weren't having a stroke. Playing it, and it was real.
Yeah.
And I just I looked over at the kid, and I was like, didn't really know what was going on. I was like, that's a deep cut. That is a deep cut from like the 70s right there.
Yeah. The fact that when I first saw that face, I was like, wait, that can't. Why is that familiar? And then when she spoke when she said the second bit, and when she finally spoke, when grandfather went, that's Carol Ann Ford.
I recognised that face as soon as it appeared. Absolutely, just ingrained in my memory. I knew who that face was. I was like, what is going on?
Just like, I just went, it's Carol Ann Ford, and then that was me going from an absolutely elate, like, oh, this is an okay episode, to, oh my god, I love this episode, is awesome. Like, that's Susan. Yeah. That's very much the I will come back. Just as you go forward.
We've got something going on there.
It's like the full. It's finally the continuation, the circle of that moment.
To be fair, if that was the only moment like that in this episode, that would have made it one of the best episodes of the season.
No, but then we get, as that bit, that's what snaps the Doctor, who then is like, you've got the two guys that were mad at the Doctor and Belinda before because they basically stole their viewing booth at their seats, and it's like, is he going to use what's he using a Faye cannon to fly through space? Yes, he is.
Yeah.
It's just it's like the way he goes, it's just like bang, straight, like flying straight through to the airlock and everything. And then it's like, as the Doctor's, having a chat with them, and it's the fact that, and then when he finally finds out what's going on and, gets into the code, and is confronted by a kid, and it's just that point when you watch, because he thinks Belinda's dead.
Yeah.
It's like, you just what, and it's like him going completely from, we've had him the last season and the most of this season, this happy-go-lucky character, like he's healed from all the trauma that he's had to endure from the Time War, from every horrible thing that's happened over the last 10, 15 years now, of the previous, and all the 60+ years of Doctor Who.
Uh-huh.
And you watch as he slips from the usual to, oh shit. That's the oncoming storm. That's the Valia. That's the darkness. It's, oh no. It's like, because straight up he's just threatening him and just straight up, like, not even the general usual stop or I'll stop you. It's, he just straight up escalates from 0 to 100 immediately. Did you notice that? It wasn't the casual, stop or I'll stop you. It was.
What was interesting is that, once again, it's, for me, this is one of the reasons why him crying almost every episode in the first season was annoying.
Mm-hmm.
That means you never got a gradient of his emotions starting to break in some way, like the pressure of things going on. I mean, if the big crying scene was the one, like say, in Story Engine, where you've betrayed me, and all those emotions coming back to him from being betrayed by his own people before,
mm-hmm.
him crying out there, and then in this next episode, it's the first time in this new regeneration where actually I've lost a companion. It's actually my fault because I was too busy interested by this thing and not being interested by what's actually going on around me.
Yeah.
And they've gone. And so him then cracking at that moment would have been, oh shit, the progression is great. Actually, it just seems to have just come out of the blue there. But still, it was proper Doctor. It was proper old school.
It was
Hellfire
just
Doctor.
It's also, I think, the reason why it's happened, the way it happened this way in this one rather than the way it usually is for, where it's the gradual. It's when we meet 15, because this is the 15th Doctor. When we meet him initially in that first episode, the whole thing he speaks and says when he speaks to his previous incarnation, 14, is we're Time Lords. We've done healing out of order. I'm you at the end of your journey, but you've got to go through it. And that's the point. And it's this is the Doctor that's like healed from his trauma and everything. He's like, the world. I want everything's better. I am better. I don't have. And then it's to be confronted with this. I've just basically killed someone. I promised I'd get them home. I promised I'd keep them safe. And it's.
I get that, and I would that. And that would all
snapped.
So much more sense if they carried it on like that. Like I said, then that first whole season was him constantly in tears.
But it's like the main thing I loved about it in regards to it though was that the bit when he finally confronts Kid, and he's just like, yeah, it's different with holograms. You can how about what was it? 3 billion. You're going to kill 3 trillion people. How about we do this 3 trillion times? And it's just
this was that harshness. Yeah, I mean. That one actually, I'm missing something. I did miss something actually that did kind of show us that he was losing back a bit, which was when he confronts Conrad, and then when you put that into play with this as well, there are certain. It's definitely harming the companions, the friends. He's got that trigger and. At this point, he didn't care.
Yeah,
he didn't care that was someone there. That was just someone that had hurt him. It hurt him really.
Hurt him. He doesn't give a shit. You hurt his friends, and it's you've done. But remember, we saw that. Remember, the thing is, we saw that with Matt with 11. Remember, I want children when they come to your house to say they found the house of Colonel Runaway. I want them to ask you through my friends. I want you to tell them your name. Just that bit. It's the Doctor doesn't care. Harm the Doctor all you want. Touch the Doctor's friends and the Doctor, and you faced
the sadistic traps of the Family of Blood.
I also love the fact that the Family of Blood is that when the end narration is just like, we know why this Doctor who'd faced gods and demons and monsters, why he'd run away from us. He was being kind. He was letting them live their lives. He was willing to let them live as long as they left him alone. And it's like,
that really was a great symbol of who he was and who he was getting to be at that point in time, which was great. I mean, it's a story arc that people don't really give enough credit to tell it those rights, because it really is a story arc that became up until this, like you just seen with this episode, a big part of the character was. Started to be forgotten. I mean, he was always grumpy in all the later series, but it was in Heartnoury where there was a whole episode where one of the cavemen that was going a bit limp and slowing him down. He's about to cave his head in with a rock until someone comes along and goes, "Oh, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just moving the rock." You lying old fuck.
Yeah,
you were about to stove his dome in. So yeah, it has always been there.
Oh yeah, it's because it's like what is it? I forget who she plays, but Tracy is it Tracy Ann, the one that from Corrie in EastEnders? Yep. When she plays, I forget what the name is.
Yeah, she keeps appearing. She Astra.
No, she plays her in the Torchwood lady.
I forget. Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
When she goes, there it is, alien authority over the rights of man. Like it's very much that as much as the Doctor loves humans, the Doctor does have the same thing that he thinks he's better than humans. But it's like it is
Time Lord.
Yeah, it's that thing of like Donna says at the end of The Runaway Bride. Of Doctor, make sure you travel with someone because I really do think you need someone to tell you to stop. Like it's even in that point, it's straight up. It's always been the theme: is the Doctor doesn't have human companions just because he wants friends. They're also there because they're the only ones who can get him to stop.
Here's an interesting thing. So I watched this recently. I watched these 2 episodes recently, One is the first appearance of the Daleks with Christopher Eccleston,
Mm-hmm.
where he thinks he's locked Billy Piper in the room with the Dalek, and
Yeah.
she's been killed because he hears the shock off. He doesn't go all hell for leather on at that point. He's already done that bit and it's failed. Yes, he does come into the but when he comes into the room and he's like with the gun, he's like, "Well, the Dalek's going to kill you." But the Dalek's not pointing a gun at me. You are.
You are.
And he has that whole moment of, "Well, no, I wasn't going to kill it. I mean, I couldn't kill. I mean,
Yeah.
You have that moment. That's kind of it with him. He does have the screamy against the Daleks.
Well, it's also the bit in the final 2 episodes. Remember when I know those ships, they were destroyed, and you just watch at that little subtle bit, in the Satellite 5 bit. If you watch the sort of when it reveals the Dalek ships, and you watch the whole like demeanor of Chris is like playing Doctor, changes from like he's been this happy-go-lucky guy all the way through it, and you watch his entire demeanor and like the way he is just change, and it's like you can just see the anger and the
Now, the reason I mention this is because it's important, because that run goes into the Delta Wave, which comes up in this.
Yes, I loved the little bit of Delta Wave.
The Doctor has a choice to use, but he doesn't because he can't control where it will go.
Yeah.
Now, and that's him holding back. The next episode I was going to mention is Forest of the Dead.
Yeah.
After Silence in the Library, in which he literally calls out one of the Vashnarada when they're inside the body of, I can't remember her name, but she's taken over, and he's like, "I know you've already killed her. I was giving you the chance. That means you've killed 2 people I like now. So you're going to do what I say." And it's a conversation where they said, "Why are we going to do anything? All the books in this library, and then tell me who I am, know who I am, and tell me why you should walk away right now."
Yeah.
And they go, "I'm going to give you an hour."
No, you haven't. You have a day. They gave him a day to get everyone off the planet because they realized, oh shit, we fucked up. That's not someone you want to mess with.
Oh, exactly. And that's when you really saw the anger coming out. And once again, it was the David Tennant run that really gave that character the anger, because the anger really wasn't there in the Christopher Eccleston one, because he wouldn't have ever pulled the trigger on everything.
No.
By the time David Tennant ends, by the time you get to Matt Smith, when he's literally saying to everyone above him over the Pandora, "I will destroy every single one of you right now. I ain't got a problem. Demons run, I'll do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing? Are you willing to pull the trigger though? Because I'll do it."
Oh yeah, it's like Matt's run. You can see the darkness already starting to take hold. It's like example when Capal takes her, and it's like he straight up is, "She's my carer. She cares, so I don't have to."
Yeah,
you can see it from even just Capaldi's run. It's like it's straight up at this point. He's been getting darker since Tennant, like from Chris to Tennant to Matt to Peter. Even to Joe, some of the stuff that, if you notice, if you watch the Jodie episodes, some of the stuff that Jodie's Doctor even does is dark, is like starting to get a little bit dark, but a little bit light-hearted because Chris didn't understand what the arc seemed to be going towards. And that's the thing, it's like you can see this character getting darker and darker and darker and doing things that you wouldn't have conceivably seen them doing years ago.
But like I said, then we get to this episode, and you see it come back because he's torturing the guys. He's not even teaching them a lesson at this point. He's just flat out torturing them because you hurt all these people. I'm going to hurt you for every single one you hurt.
Yeah.
It's going to go on for a very long time. One thing I would like to point out is I think during this whole moment of torture, we actually got a massive dwarf Easter egg.
Which was?
Because the weapon of choice used was a hard light hologram, just like
Rimmer.
And we have seen on a number of occasions hard light holograms being executed to be harmed. And that gauntlet did look a little bit like the Justifier gauntlet. I can't remember It's Peter Serafinovich that actually does the voice. I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
Which is well known. Yeah, with the character I'm thinking of, but yeah.
But then also end of this episode, we got the reveal. We got the reveal. Mrs. Flood's the last person to be revived, and she's like, "Is he gone? Is he gone? Who? The Doctor? Is he gone? Yeah, he just disappeared. Couldn't find him anywhere. Good. Then that means I can do this because my second brainstem was a little bit was pride of oxygen for a little bit too long. The minute I heard that, I went, "Oh shit, she's a Time Lord." And then the reveal of that
see,
part.
I noticed that she was already at least a Time Lord in some manner because of her device at the beginning. Because my TV showed me.
I was. We both know from like this podcast, like last year, when we were both discussing after I think the Christmas episode, discussing who Mrs. Flood is. I already came up with a theory of who she was, and I was right.
You were right.
I was like,
we both came in different directions, but you were right.
Yeah, I was like, this character is exactly who. This character is. It's clearly this character from the original series. You're like, no, it can't be that character. Why would they bring that character back?
I didn't think it was going to be Susan because I just think if we're going to get Susan, we're going to get Susan.
Yeah. And why would you suddenly be like saying like example in that at the end of not the Christmas special but before the Christmas special where she was going, oh, the Doctor's life's gonna be full of terror.
I mean, I was on the. I thought we were going to get Astra, the Time lady from E to Time.
Mm-hmm.
Where my head was going towards it at that moment in time, or didn't think it was going to be another Master.
No, not so soon.
We got the fucking Rani.
And I was like, "Oh, that is brilliant." Because I think we both were like, I was like, I did literally upon watching the end of that episode. I think the exact message you got 2 minutes later was, "I was fucking right."
It was. I was not. I've got to say, I was in America. I watched it the moment it was aired, and I messaged you. So, oh my god, you've got to watch it.
I think it's because you messaged me like in the middle of the morning when I was asleep, because you got it technically earlier than me because you got it on 8 a.m. at Disney Plus in the US. No, not earlier than me. You got it at midnight, I think, in Disney Plus, didn't you?
I ended up getting it. No, the show. I actually had the earliest I could watch it was via my VPN on my phone. So I was watching it straight from then. I think it was like 5 to 9.
Yeah,
UK time.
I watched the episode, this week's episode, at 8 a.m. when it came out. I was like, "Oh, I'm awake. It's like 2 minutes past 8. I'm going to watch this episode." It's like,
I had already seen it at the time you'd messaged me. Yeah, so I did. Maybe we did get a bit earlier.
That episode, the episode before Wishful, like the fact that it was the Rani, and like, "Oh, I've got to regenerate." Oh, sorry, mistress. Sorry, mom.
So once again, I'm there with my stepkid and my kid, and we're watching it, and they are amused by what's going on. I'm explaining what the Eurovision Song Contest is to an American.
Yeah.
Because
we allow everyone except America to join. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, because they were like, "Oh, is it like America's Got Talent?" I was like, "No, yes, and no," because like imagine America's Got Talent, and then you pick the winner, and they go up against the rest of the world, and the rest of the world vote on it. Right now, people are voting on this show over who's the best in Europe and Australia. But yeah, they were kind of bemused by that and interested because they are big into the musicals and stuff. So that may be a thing we end up I'd take over. But then we got to the Rani scene, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Once again, just a slew of swear words, and I was like, "I don't think you understand." The other thing was a cut from the 70s. We're now getting cuts from the 80s.
So, and I think the other thing is probably going. You're also thinking, "Shit, Callan's going to message me now, going that I was fucking right."
I weren't even in that. I weren't even in that stuff. My message to you was, "You have to watch this now." There is no reason on Earth that you shouldn't be watching this now.
I think he messaged me that, though. I was asleep at the time.
Doesn't matter. There's no reason. I was just gobsmacked by what we got there. In all honesty, it was some of the best TV ever. And yeah, so I was on tenterhooks for the next episode.
Oh yeah, and then
didn't know
next episode. I have to be honest. I have never been this like. I love Doctor Who. I watch like a lot. I've seen the original series a lot. Watched the original series. A lot of the episodes we've got available on BBC iPlayer. I've watched them. That is the thing that BBC really needs to do. Put them on Disney. Get a deal with someone at a distribution platform outside the UK. Put them on there as well.
There is. It's on Max.
Yeah.
All the classics are on Max.
Sorry. They need to get a distribution product for both and just put it with both on the same platform, so that way everyone will just watch it on that platform. But that's the point where I was going to say this. Watch original. I've watched the 2005 to up to the Jodie's run. I've not watched Jodie's run twice because I tried, and there's only a few of the episodes in it I can physically watch twice, which, as I've mentioned before in this podcast, are Spyfall Part 1 and 2. Absolutely loved it, mostly because Sacha Dhawan is fucking awesome as O and the O/the Master, and because it's got Lenny Henry in it.
There's so many. Yeah, there so many.
I love Lenny Henry to death. He's like he was one of my favourite comedians. I really wish he would do more comedy shows again because I love him. And also was the Haunting of the House and Sonata and the two Timeless Child episodes, because I genuinely actually enjoyed that whole storyline. Like, I dislike how it was implemented, as we both agree. We both have the same opinion that it was implemented poorly. I think if it was implemented better, it would actually be done better.
Yeah,
it would be it would be received better, because of how it was done is how it's been input so badly. That's received so badly.
I'll give you something right on that one. But what we did get
though
is uncomparable to any of those.
No. But then I've watched Ncuti's first season twice now, and I'm probably going to completely rewatch this season once it's all out, just because I will love watching all through it again. But Wishworld opens up. People are like, some people, as you said before, said earlier when we were discussing before the show, were complaining that we should have found out at the same time as the Doctor did in this, and I'm like, but we would have already known as the audience that something was wrong the minute the episode starts.
Yeah, I would say that would be so much more of a juxtaposition after the end, what the actual ending of that last episode was.
Yeah.
That you would.
Yeah.
You would already know that something's wrong. It's
because the last episode, the TARDIS, the end of the last episode, the Missile episode, when they finally set the TARDIS to go through to Earth, the TARDIS literally explodes.
Yeah. So yeah, if you see him waking up and tapping on an alarm, going, "Oh, hello, honey. Oh, hello, darling," you're gonna go, "What?" So they're just dead. We've done this before. So actually, showing something else that was happening, the way that they did was very good. I liked it because it actually does fit into the rules of what they've set up since the David Tennant specials. Is that superstition and legend are making things happen now, not science. And in this case, it was seventh son of a seventh son of a seventh son, which, if you kind of lore for these things, usually means a wizard or someone of great power. Are important in these things. So yeah, I mean, for instance, if you've ever seen The Magician's Apprentice, the reason The Apprentice is so important and the wizards are so important is they're seventh sons of seventh sons. But yeah, all of this stuff really did show that there was something weird going on.
Oh yeah,
already in the universe.
Yeah, it's very much that because ever since the Tennant specials, him invoking that superstition at the edge of the universe, the very edge of it, has impacted
all of this.
Yeah, has made all of this possible. Like even in the episode, the Wishful episode, when the Rani's telling him her plan, when he finally starts to doubt, he's expressing doubts. Like, I love the fact that it's very much that it is a police state. If you pay attention, it's like it's the minute anyone expresses doubts to this world, that to this
I
world.
thought this was a great concept. Now, once again, I was watching this with my wife this time, who's only watched a few episodes of Doctor Who. Raven, my kid, I don't know if they did watch it later, but yeah, I had a few questions. But once again, someone new watching this and going, this is good though, isn't it? Shows that this was well written, because they haven't seen any of this season. They haven't seen anything with shooting whatsoever.
Yeah.
With me. The episodes that we've seen are the one with. We've seen the first two episodes of Christopher Eccleston's era. We've seen the one with Vincent Van Gogh.
I love Vincent Van Gogh's episode. That is
this one, and so pointing out and being able to see it's actually a well written and a followable story.
Yeah, not someone like you and me who we're willing to forgive. Like, I will admit, being a fan of Doctor Who, there's a lot more that you and me are probably willing to forgive in the writing areas for Doctor Who, that someone that isn't necessarily a fan of the show isn't going to be.
Because it won't make sense to them at all.
Yeah.
So.
Because
and there was some big concepts being hit in this as well.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, there was a lot of stuff in this that I do have to explain, because there were some big swings, but worth it. Because actually, by the time you get those things, you're like halfway there to working out yourself what the Doctor isn't going to be able to work out until he's told.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Oh, it was really well. The episode was really well done. Like, completely, in my opinion, was.
Thing with doubt, I thought, and this is something that I think we both liked. Whilst watching it, was the explanation of doubt and why it's
so important,
why it's destructive to this particular world. Then that's the point.
Yeah,
I understand. Right.
Yeah, when she gets that bit, it's like we get this world down. We've got Kate as still the head of like unit, which is in this world some sort of bureaucracy, and Conrad, who's back from the earlier episode, returned as a villain. Returned, who is somehow the god of this world, basically god of Earth in a weird way, because of is a god.
He's the creator. He's the creator of everything due to the baby.
Yes.
Desiderius,
the god of wishes.
God of wishes. And a couple of interesting things, weirdly around that is that, and to go into the doubt thing is, before we realise, we're basically told actually that was the point. We were kind of led to believe that was the weapon to fix this, because. Yeah. One of the key things that start all this off is Rogue turning up and going, remember, tables don't do that.
Yeah, turns up on the TV and it's tables don't do that. And the Doctor then starts having the breakdown.
When you start doubting things, reality around you starts to break, so he's not in the right thing. So, of course, you want to break out of this fake reality. Not realising that actually that was the point all along. And I thought that was a fantastic reveal.
It is such a good way of revealing it as well, though. It's like you have Rogue show back up as on the TV screen, and just after a split second before, who shows up on the TV again, that looks like they're mouthing the same words of grandfather, of Susan showing up on the TV again.
Yeah, which he doesn't notice, which is quite interesting, and very much something we've seen before with Rose. Although he had noticed it already with the brain flash. Flashing up on a few screens. I think there is another option. I saw something the other day, and I think it might be another indication of that with the screen flickering and it being Susan. I'll have to double check. Yeah.
But yeah,
Susan is obviously a big thing here.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant the way they've done it. It's like we get. And Susan's obviously a big thing. We're finally getting possibly Carol Ann Ford back, which is a really nice way. which even I think even as she's admitted herself, she would happily just come back just for literally just to regenerate, just to be regenerated into someone new, because she's
I think they're starting to realise that the people that are making these shows. There's a lot of goodwill from the people from the past
yeah.
that would like to come back in some fashion, if not to do a whole episode, just to do something.
Yeah. I
didn't know this at all, but the original Rani actress who passed away a few years ago,
yeah,
who actually did in a letter that was given to her agent. This weird stuff found out that she actually did message the BBC and said that she would love that this character would at some point come back and be played by someone else, because she had actually been asking for years to come back to Doctor Who. In one of her, again, a great thing about her, you can find this online. It's on YouTube, a little mini documentary about it. In one of her biographies, because she'd been in Dallas, a really big show in America, globally as well, and she actually left that because she wanted to come back and just work in quarries and shit in England, because you just got better feeling and a better camaraderie, and she wanted to come back and do Doctor Who after doing Glitz and Glamour of Hollywood. It's a sweet thing. And they never managed to get it done.
Yeah, it is one of those issues where it's like, it's also, I think they're realizing that they're kind of running out of possibly time to bring back some of these actors as well, because let's be honest, the show's 60 years old. A lot of the actors that were in the old episodes and stuff, a lot of these actors are in their 60s, their 70s, their 80s. At this point, I'm so happy. I will admit, as much as I didn't like Jodie's regeneration episode after rewatching it again, I actually realised it is just as bad. It is actually a lot worse than I thought it was originally. It was literally the fan baiting that got me so excited for it, with the fact that Sophie Aldred was back, Bonnie Langford was back, and we got to see, Sylvester, Paul, Colin, and Peter. It was literally the fan baiting that got me to enjoy it. It was because I realised when I was rewatching it's the only scenes I actually genuinely liked, other than when Sacha Dhawan was on the screen. On Sacha Dhawan was the bits at the edge and seeing, old companions that we haven't seen for years back. Considering, Sophie Aldred and Bonnie Langford back, and that genuinely is the bits that made me happy in that episode. Seeing those two, because it's and also I will admit the scene at the end when we had the bunch where they got a bunch of the old actors back to do basically a support group with each other, and seeing the original Ian Chesterton before seeing him back. Yeah,
there was a load of sweet moments in that episode,
and also seeing her again, Katie Manning back, because the last time we saw her was Sarah Jane Adventures, and I love Katie Manning because Jo is awesome. Jo was always awesome. Jo Grant was always an awesome companion. But yeah, what were you going to say, Jax? Jax has died, apparently. I'm all alone.
We died on one of my mics. Change it over.
Am
I back? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Sweet. What I'm saying, we were very lucky at that moment in time, because it was right at the very beginning of the popularity of having these legacy shows of grouping people back together, which really got to its height with the final Spider-Man film, Multiverse of Madness, where you got all the.
Between Multiverse of Madness, Multiverse of Madness is Doctor Strange.
You know what I mean? The other one,
No Way Home.
Yeah, No Way Home. Multiverse of Madness can be lumped in there because of what we got on screen. But yeah, where you started getting legacy characters coming in for a big hurrah together. You had that with the Power Rangers show.
Yeah, Once and Always was so nice. I loved that. I loved seeing those two back.
Yeah, so we got lucky that was a popular thing, and they were like, we can do that quite easily, especially around convention time. So it was nice. It was a nice fan thing, and it was a great way to actually, as well. They knew what was happening in the fact that it was going to Disney, and they kind of needed a cut off to an extent. And that's what we would get. It was a good way of doing that. That was a nice thank you to the fans, I think, in that we got as many Doctors as we did there.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
It was just nice to also see Sylvester, Colin, Peter, and even Paul McGann. It was just nice to see Paul McGann get to actually be in a mainline episode.
Yeah, Paul McGann should actually get a couple of actual filmed episodes, I think.
I would tend to agree because Paul McGann is don't get me wrong, the TV movie was not good. I don't think anyone of us
did him dirty.
But I think he did him dirty because it was honestly the first attempt at trying to Americanize Doctor Who, and that's what it really was.
It was, but once again, this is something I didn't know until recently. This is it's quite an easy, accessible interview that he's done, in which he's talking about how it was always a thing that Doctors got to choose a lot of their costume. And his description of what he said he wanted was short, maybe buzzed hair, and a biker jacket.
Which is what we all know is, hey, isn't that the Ninth Doctor's outfit?
They said, no, we want you, the Doctor has to look more like a dandy, more like a clown. That's why they glued a wig to his fucking head, which, once again, shows why he had no emotion, and gave him that silly coat. Made him look basically look like a aged gent. So when he says,
it's also where people like to say the Doctor's half human because that throwaway line in that episode of
stupid throwaway line, yeah. He says when he was then watching an episode many years later of the new Doctor, let's see where this goes. He looks at it, and it's Christopher Eccleston with a buzzed haircut and a leather jacket. He's like, son of a bitch.
That was my outfit.
That's basically, yeah. Well, it would be nice to see a bit of that, like what happened during the war. That would have been a good, or just before the war, that needed him to change.
I'm happy you got a couple of mini-sodes, though. The little mini episodes just before for the regeneration. I like that they gave him that. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. It's not exactly what I'd want from it because I would have loved to see them, actually in person. You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe one of the best things about these things is that he, after getting such a kick in from the fan base for so long, that he's actually left the audience wanting more. Mm-hmm. And there are many, many Doctors that don't get that. There's maybe one or two that, depending on who you are, we're like, no, they did their time. We don't need them back. We all have at least one in our arsenal. Mine may be Colin Baker, but I won't say that out loud.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. We all have that one act that we would love back, but it is, in all honesty.
If they could get Tom Baker back in any capacity, or
they got him back. We at least got him back at the end of Matt's run for a little bit.
He did.
I will admit that entire scene, I jumped for fucking joy. I jumped for joy when I was watching that live on TV at the time.
And we recently did get as much of Sharda as they can possibly do, which is, it may be an old episode, but it is new to anyone, even of that era, because it never got released in its time.
Yep.
Its only release was then. So
I will also say,
if you think you've seen Doctor Who and you've not seen that, you've not seen all of Doctor Who.
I will say, at least we got, it wasn't the original actor, but at least we got the first Doctor back in an episode, even though it wasn't, played by the great William Hartnell. It was because David Bradley
David Bradley, that's it.
David Bradley actually nailed it, in my opinion, of his mannerisms, though.
Every time he has played that character, he has nailed it.
Yeah.
He is a perfect character actor.
Yeah, he's like, as no one else I could imagine that would actually be willing to be able to pull off doing David Bradley.
Right. Did it incredibly well. And would have been nice if we could have had him turn up and do one of the Memory TARDIS stories with Susan. I think that would be absolutely wonderful.
Oh yeah.
But they're not doing any more of those Memory TARDIS episodes, sadly. But yeah, actually having them narrate one of the old school episodes together, maybe Unearthly Child,
Oh yeah, it's
uh, that would have been Chef's kiss in my opinion.
but yeah, it's one of those things in regards to it. It's like David Bradley really did do and pull off the whole being William doing the first Doctor like quite a bit of justice in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
genuinely was.
it worked them up. What they did was a work of art. I won't say anything different. Yeah, but to get towards the end of the episode that we were talking about,
Oh yeah,
the big reveal happens.
oh yeah. It's like that episode we get. You already explained the plan. The doubts aren't the problem. The doubts are the whole point. And it's the way she says it, though.
We should have had a massive, by the way, a massive clue as to what was happening on a rewatch. Is massive, and pointed out emblem of Rassilon. The seal of Rassilon is there.
Yeah,
that's only been used a few times.
the last time it was used was Rassilon himself had it.
It was Rassilon himself, but the other two big times it was used is for one particular character. It's mentioned. Yeah.
I think that
we get Rana's reveal of what she's planning.
Yeah. The Doctor's still questioning her because he doesn't realise he's the Doctor. He still thinks he's John Smith at this point. All going like arguing, and then when he goes, "Tell me the name. Tell me the name. The lost one, Omega." It's like, oh dear God. And I think my second point to you was I was right twice because I've been like, it's going to be Omega.
I did. I mean, see, this is. Now, stupidly, I was going to be on the assumption. I mean, I did say if it was going to be Omega, it's not going to be the one that we expect, because there is a book. Then I always argue that if it's not on screen, it's not canon. Yeah, I put myself into this loop. Going, look. That being said, this actually goes back to what I was saying about the Lux episode, and the link to this episode is the Peter Davison episode in which Omega last appeared. The weapon he had two settings, and the argument is that the setting that it was on when Omega had it was the destroy setting. I always held true to myself and said, and even from a young age, the Doctor always would have changed that. He never the option, even though he gave Omega the option of destroy or disperse, and Omega says destroy, the Doctor was never going to do that.
Oh yeah,
he was always going to change it to the disperse setting, which would always give him the ability to come back in some form, if and when he was ready. Which is the point of the book, by the way. He reforms under a different ideal with things after being so far out. And that's exactly what we saw happen in Lux. The thing dispersed out and wasn't destroyed. And yeah, that's what really just, for me, I know it's a very tenuous link, but it was like, that is so weird. That actually, for me, that actually gives that ending a bit more relevance in Lux and makes it a little bit more, even though it's probably so tenuous, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing about being a fan of these sort of shows. That's the thing about being. We're going to find links in like bits we've never thought there'd be a link for. That's the thing.
Yeah. But we do get the great Omega, and if he is coming back, this is going to be fun. I know people have been starting to get whingy about, we're not getting last of the time. He's the Doctor who's last of the Time Lord. Now there's loads of them. Well, it was only ever the last of the Time Lords from the Eccleston run anyway. Before then, there was fucking tons of them. And even then, we kept finding out they're all over the fucking shop even after the fact.
Yeah.
Because there was
the Master and
graveyard
targets. And let's be honest, I think we can both agree. My personal absolute thing to do with it was I hated that Chris Chimball, as I love to call him, I hate that Chibnall decided, you know what would be great? Capaldi, you know what's great? Moffat's just brought the Time Lords back, established that they're back, they're at the end of the universe, they exist again. You know, it'd be really great if I undo that entire arc and just destroy them again. Like, I will never understand his logic for doing that, if you know what I mean. Because it's like, dude, we've just had an entire like story arc of the character going, yes, my people are back. I'm not the last of the Time Lords more, so we can, you know, which I think was honestly was Moffat trying to write in a way to go, here's an explanation for why we can bring back the Rani, the Meddling Monk, Omega, all these other old characters, like, and instead it's Chibnall decides I'm just going to destroy Gallifrey again, and I'm like, you undid an entire story arc with this. Just because you think you can write better stories, and I'm sorry, Chris, but you don't. Some of his episodes, even in Moffat's run and in Davies' original run, are actually some of the worst episodes of those runs. That's the other thing. Some of his episodes are the worst run episodes in his runs. Like, I believe one of them, his episodes, if I remember correctly, he's the one that wrote the Morpheus episode. You know,
I just really...
the found footage one, and I'm just like, that episode's shit. Like, I personally think Mark should have been the show writer, and I think the show would have continued on being really good.
I think Mark Gatiss could have done those seasons a lot. Yeah, I would have done more justice on those.
Mark Gatiss is God, Mark Gatiss. Every episode he's ever written, I love them. Even though he puts himself in the episodes. You know, in every episode he's written, he's in the episode as one of the characters. We know this. It's kind of the running joke. But I am fine with seeing him as random characters in shit if he was the main writer, because other than the Lazarus episode he genuinely doesn't play main characters. He just plays like side characters most of the time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I can get behind him because he likes to appear in the episodes he writes as like a side character. Like, I can't argue with his logic for that.
Yeah, and there's a history of writers and directors doing that.
Yeah.
Now, the big reveal, though, to be fair, at the end of that episode when the Doctor is in peril
and falling,
is his announcement. Actually,
Poppy's real.
His child Poppy is real. Now, for those who've been watching the season so far, Poppy is Captain Poppy from Space Babies, but has been weirdly appearing to Belinda a couple of episodes just in her periphery.
Yeah, and also not just that, it's also the very, as we pointed out and reminded me of in Space Babies, the very first thing she says to the Doctor and Ruby is, "Are you my mummy and daddy?"
And the Doctor replies, "I wish we were." And in an episode in which wishes come true,
the Doctor is her father. It's like,
yeah.
The other theory that's going on with that, by the way, is that the Doctor's actually saying that because he's trying to enforce the doubt and to try and to basically beat the doubt in his mind and trying to trying to save himself from the fall, from being erased by enforcing a part of the wish and using it as a starting point. But it's very possible, but it's also possible. But considering it's the same little actress that's playing Poppy from last season as this one, same name, because that was Captain Poppy, and then Poppy, you know what I mean, and she's appeared more than just once in this series. She's appeared multiple times. I am inclined to believe that Poppy is real, and there is something more going on here. With your theory, you feel free to tell your theory, because I don't really have one at the minute, because I'm a bit... I think our theory mostly is the same on this one, I think.
Yeah, so like I said, the main theory is that he made that wish, which in this universe does create things. But up until this point in time, seeing Susan, he's only ever mentioned already being a parent, not a grandparent yet. And yet, and we're not including Jenny in this because this was before Jenny, a character he had mentioned this, but never a grandparent. And I'm wondering if the reason we're starting to get Susan now is because this child is going to be a real Time Lord child, and thus will end up being the mother of whoever Susan is, or the parent of whoever Susan is. And that's why you're getting the flashbacks now because you're finally getting that loop back in. Because up until this point, Susan may not have been existing in a reality because of what happened during the Time War.
Mm-hmm.
But now Pop is real, which would then be that the bootstrap paradox is broken in a weird way. Has now been opened.
Oh yeah,
For a grandchild to then come back and be with a grandfather in the future / his past is a relationship we have seen and is now used to, in the fact that River Song and the Doctor's relationship was out of sync.
oh yeah.
So actually now seeing a relationship like that again would kind of make some sense.
Sorry, someone told me that the Time Lords were all sterile at one point, and I'm like, has that ever actually been mentioned in the show?
Not seeing as though they've had children.
Yeah, I'm like, where was it ever mentioned they're all sterile like in the show? Because I'm pretty sure in the show it's very much established that how many children were on Gallifrey. Like, it's like when they go through they look at the untempered schism, it makes them apparently sterile. And I'm like, that makes no sense. Like,
I think that's more from someone's fan fiction as to why none of the companions are pregnant.
Yeah, despite the fact that, because like I don't know where that one's technically from. Like, I've not.
I've never. That's never one that's come across my sphere of existence.
Yeah, I've seen people say it with going when Poppy can't be real because the Time Lords are sterile. I'm like, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
Also, another weird.
I mean, it was kind of. I'll be honest, it was slightly hinted at in the that they're not with River Song's birth because when Vashta was talking to him, she went, "I know how you blush." She's like, which kind of was because the child being a half part Time Lord. Because I believe that what Vashta was trying to get, at that point was that was it you? Are you the father? You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's also. I've got to say that does end up. Weird enough, it's a bit of the lore that no one seems to mention. And you've just re-sparked my thing to it.
What?
Because that separates, in many ways, the need to be a Gallifreyan to be a Time Lord. Because she was human, because she was Rory and Amy's child. She was completely human, but it was the closeness to the time stream that gave her the abilities of a Time Lord, i.e. regeneration. And that's not. I wonder if it's mentioned that that's all Gallifreyans that can do that.
What?
Where is it ever mentioned that all Gallifreyans can fully regenerate?
I don't
not
remember.
Just Time Lords.
I don't remember it. That could be some of the.
I don't think it is.
I think it's just Time Lords can regenerate. I think that's
what's horrible about this. No, what's really horrible about this?
What?
That if that's not mentioned, and this is true.
What?
That gives Signal's fucking story just a little bit more of a crack to be making sense. That it's the ability to regenerate isn't naturally a Gallifreyan thing.
Well, it isn't. Remember?
I think given.
It was given. That's the whole point. The whole point of the Timeless Child was that the way they got the ability to regenerate was by using the Doctor's DNA.
But what I'm saying is there is actually now, if you think about it, that's a modern thing added.
Yeah.
But if there is no other law that actually downright states no, not all Gallifreyans can't do that. It might mean that I can't hate that as much as I can because that starts to actually fit in really well. And my argument is that kind of doesn't fit in because all of them have been able to do it. And now I'm thinking, have they?
I don't think
it does it because
that is actually true. All right, and you've got me thinking on that one. But
look, that's the other thing. Omega's not the first Gallifreyan.
He's the first Time Lord.
He's the first Time Lord.
Because he's the one that blew up the first
he's
sun and created the supernova.
but that's it. But that's it. He's the one that apparently gave them time travel, which gave them the ability over time. Now, is that what made him a Time Lord, or was it something he was given that allowed him to not die outright whilst doing that?
Yeah, because Tekahuan, whatever her fucking name is, the character. I
don't want to think about this any further because it might make me want to rewatch episodes that I don't want to rewatch to my head around it. But but anyway, they are my weird out there theories now. But that was always the thing that got me. Is like, how did she become a Time Lord if she's not Gallifreyan? Unless it's the ability to use regeneration energy that is the distinction between a Gallifreyan and a Time Lord, and a human and a Time Lord.
Yeah, but then River, because River was able to regenerate by just exposure to the time vortex, because that's what basically turned her into part Time Lord.
And that's the thing, that she was always called part Time Lord, not part Gallifreyan. But you wouldn't say that to. I mean, that was and that's the other thing on. That's another point. He's not referred to as the other Doctor. Human. He's referred to as half Gallifreyan, half human, but not as a Time Lord because he can't regenerate.
Yeah. So is it the fact that
shit? That's been in there a while, isn't it? It's been there. It's been there for a while.
Have we only just discovered the fact that only Time Lords can regenerate now because we never noticed it? I'll tell you why we probably never noticed it, because it's never come up until the fucking Timeless Child bit.
That's the point. I think it might have done. I think it's come up a few times.
And it's just
more I'm thinking about it now.
The Timeless Child thing is just Chris's explanation for it.
Yeah, no, but I've got a weird feeling it gets mentioned in the Key to Time story when what's his name? I can never remember her name, and I know where the actress actually changes, but instead of killing in a death scene for the regeneration, she goes, "Oh, I just changed." And there is a controversial thing in that where she's talking about regenerating into a man, and the Doctor's like, "Well, that's not possible. You can't do that." And that's why the thingy episode is a bit. But I'm
pretty sure he doesn't say that's not possible. He just says that'd be. I think he's something about it's uncommon, because a lot of people have pointed out that in the original series they already put the idea that they could switch genders,
I think that was there's episodes contradicting each, but doesn't matter. This is a long one. Showed.
To be fair, that's the thing. It's why whenever anyone brings up the canon of Doctor Who, I always say, dude, the show has been out that long that so many episodes contradict each other. And
there are some flat out rules. Once they're made, you got to stick to them, which they kind of have done. Some you don't. It's like with all these things, you certain things you have to let slide. But that's how we get to the end of that one. We now are waiting till Saturday.
Yep.
Find out how we're gonna survive it.
Oh yeah. How the reality war is going on, and I'm just happy we're getting Omega back, because I'm one of those people that was like, I want Omega back. I've been wanting him back since the series was revived, because he's one of those characters that I genuinely like. I love the Three Doctors. The Three Doctors is one of my favourite John Pertwee stories. Like, it is one of those stories.
Very good. It's
so good. It's probably because also Patrick Troughton is my second favourite Doctor overall, because my two favourite Doctors are in order. My favourite Doctors, top 5 favourite in order, are Tom Baker, Patrick Troughton, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, and Peter Davison, because I actually genuinely love a load of those stories. Those are the stories I genuinely love.
No, it's all some great writing around there. I mean, the reason I'm a big Tom Baker fan is, I just love the dude anyway. But it was the period where you were getting a lot of Douglas Adams getting involved, who is a writer I love. I love his humour, and it's one of those great moments in
Yeah.
it's one of those great moments in this show where actually a writer, a director, I can't remember, I think it was Ed By at the time, the director and the are all on point with each other. They know what they all want to do, and they go through it. They just do the job. Like there's great stories where Tom Baker was left with K9 knowing full well that the Tin Dog wasn't going to do whatever they had tried to get it to do with the remote control. So
Oh, yeah.
he would purposely, they would literally purposely drive it onto his long scarf. You would just see whole episodes, him dragging K9 round on his scarf like a leash. Because that was the only way it was moving around that set.
Oh, yeah. Nowadays, we could make a K9 that actually works and moves.
Yeah.
But back then,
Back then, these wobbly sets, it was great.
But it's also, let's be honest, it's one of those things. Genuinely, Doctor is a show I've loved. Ever since because my dad's the one that introduced me to Doctor Who when it first came back, and was like, "This is a show I watched when I was, growing up." And my dad's, know, and like that's so you've got to watch me. And it's like, yeah, I didn't like Star Trek originally when I was younger. I like it now. I didn't like it when I was younger, but because I decided to one day I was like, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to watch Next Generation, and I think, as you know, my favorite series is Next Generation because that's the first one I watched. And I'm like, this is really good. I genuinely like this show. But like as I say, Doctor Who is like the Omega being back is a big thing. It's for fans of like original series. It's like, here's another villain that's back that I'm like, I've been wanting to see for ages. Like Sutek, I was excited that Sutek was back because because ironically before that episode where it was revealed it was Sutek, I'd watched Pyramid of Mars, like on my because I was watching Tom Baker's set and I was like, and let's watch Pyramid of Mars. And then next thing I know, the bad guy is Sutek, and I'm like, wait a minute. Accidentally watched it.
The way I described it to the people around me in the terms that they might have realised how big this was for me, and these are Taylor Swift fans, I was like, just imagine Taylor Swift is at a wedding day with Kelsey, whatever his name is, in his red shirt, and everything's going great, and then Joe Jonas turns up with the rest of the Dead Poets Society, all with flowers going, "We all love you. If you're not going to be with us, we're going to destroy everything, all on live camera. Who wants to watch?" And they started laughing. I was like, deadly serious. Like, what would you say if you were watching that live and that started happening? They went, yeah, that crazy has just happened to me right now.
Yeah, that's what it is like at that point. It's just like, holy crap, that is a villain I have not expected to see in years. I didn't expect Sutek to be one of those villains that would come back. I was like, he's a once and done villain. But then as this series progressed and the previous series progressed, and it's like these gods are showing up, and I'm like, oh, it is quite literally he's opened the doorway to allow the gods to return. He's straight up allowed them back into the universe.
And my theory about there is a line as well mentioned a while ago. Then the Doctor says how he was young and how he first met the trickster by falling through going past the underverse and into his realm and upsetting him and then coming back. Now the underverse gets mentioned again, which is where Omega is. Now the other theory I do have then is that if we're seeing all these gods come back, this pantheon of gods come back, who might be the leader if not the god of time?
Oh yeah, well, the god of time's Cronus.
Maybe not anymore. It's reality, not with
that is something I reckon is going to come back at one point now. Since we've got all these other ones back, I have a feeling we're going to get Cronus again. It's like, oh no, not him again, not the time god.
I mean, maybe that's not how this is going to get fixed. You're going to have the White and Black Guardians have to come in and
be freed.
I mean, there is so many
this episode's
going to be cuts they've had.
Interesting across the board.
There are so many options that they can use right now.
it's going to be so interesting seeing the way that this is going to work. Because
Yeah.
this is just, how are we doing this? Because this is really interesting. And like, we've got Omega back. We have the Doctor's facing like, one of an old villain, not a new villain, an old villain, a proper one from the original series that is just so good.
Yeah.
Like, and I will say this, they didn't even credit the person that voiced him in this episode. But I think you know what I'm going to say is that when he spoke, the guy that's playing him, it sounded like the original Omega, and I was like as close as possible to it. I almost thought it was the same dude. I'm not sure if he's still alive.
I'm wondering if it was. No, I'm wondering if it was old footage that they've used there for that. But we will find out.
Well,
soon
no,
enough.
because none of the I rewatched the episode. None of those lines that he says are lines that are said in any of the old footage.
Does he not refer to himself as Omega when he first appears? Takes off the helmet.
When he first appears, he doesn't take off the helmet in the first place because he's. But no,
Well, I mean,
the
when
way
he
he
takes
says
off the
it, he
helmet.
goes, "I am Omega," like in a really gravitas way, like really like.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
So it's like a specific way he says it. It's like, "I am Omega," and it's like, oh, okay.
Like I say, this weekend is going to be a very interesting one for a lot of reasons.
Oh yeah. It's going to be a very interesting one. I am incredibly excited for this weekend. But as we digress, we'll be back in 2 weeks as usual. But so join us on Sunday for Streaming Sunday. You may see Pixel, you may see Jax may join us one of those Sundays. Legion may join us. Basic Ray may join us again. Sundays, I'll always be there. Sunday's just for me streaming random games. Like, subscribe, all that jazz on this. And I say, if you have comments, leave them. I like reading comments. Basically the way it is. But we will be back in 2 weeks as per normal, because we do this every 2 weeks usually. Actually, wait, let me just check. 2 weeks is when, Jax?
2 weeks.
That was so fucking helpful.
I know.
2 weeks is the 12th. I will be available on that week, so yes, it will be another episode. But yeah, we bid you adieu, and thank you